As someone who pursues a bunch of different types of creative hobbies, it bothers me how little people actually want to help you along the way. I mean that people only really care when you make it. People don't care about the journey. I mean, most people in general just don't care about the journey anymore, even the people who are even pursuing the creative dream. Everyone wants everything now. People just want a quick, short way to success, but that's never how it works unless you're born into it and you know the right type of people. The reason I'm making this video is because every time I try to invite people to a show, whether it be art, music, or clothing, or I tell people that I'm doing something with like my creative habits or creative endeavors and stuff like that, I notice how most people generally do not support you that much. Of course, there are a few who genuinely want to help you and see you succeed, but in reality, there are not a lot of people who want to go out of their way to help you. And honestly, some of them might be psychologically projecting or they don't want you to succeed just because of their own, you know, mental state of being. I understand people have their own life to live and you are not guaranteed an audience or anything like that. However, I don't like when the same friends complain to me that I never reach out or talk to them when I do things or when I have to tell them shows and everything like that. When they either don't respond to me, and maybe it's my fault for texting the group chat instead of like people individually, because I can understand why people don't really check the group chat because it can be kind of overwhelming, and maybe sometimes that you have to talk to people individually, which is probably the best way of doing things. However, I don't want to hear about it later though. Just like every time, just like, oh, you don't tell us, you don't ever respond to the group chat and all this other kind of stuff. And maybe it might just be the wrong friend group for all I know, because sometimes I think when you're in a specific friend group, some of them are like, it's like a situationship kind of friend group. You know what I mean? Like you only see certain amounts of people because you'll be going out or you see them at like a party or like a birthday or something like that. And it's always the same questions about like how you're doing, how's life, blah blah blah. And it's not, most of these conversations aren't going to be very deep. They're not going to be very what's the word I'm looking for? It's it's not like a big connection, I guess you could say. And I understand that maybe that's what this kind of friend group is, and or maybe I'm just growing out of this friend group for all I know, and maybe I'm just doing some self-reflection on myself and how I view others. It's just odd to me though when there are people I've like known longer for like years who don't really support me as much, but then there are people who I barely know who support me even more. So how does that even work? I remember a friend told me they like quote unquote said, "Remember us when you're famous" or whatever. And then I had another one say to me, quote unquote, "Let me know when you're famous," like something along those lines. And first off, it's kind of bold of you to think that I would be famous in the first place. And the second thing I want to say is like, if you're not there for the journey, why would I bring you up with me in the first place? Kind of thing, you know? I remember when I had my first little taste of like virality on YouTube and my channel hit like 17K subscribers, 18K subscribers. I'm almost at 20K subscribers right now, which is actually really cool because I took a little hiatus. And then I told my friend about it, and then she was like, "Why do you never tell us anything?" And I'm I'm not I wouldn't say I'm like super secretive, but I'm that type of person who won't tell people everything if they don't really ask me questions kind of thing. And I was like, well, you don't really ask about my life either. It's like, when you see your friends like every few months and you kind of like catch up on things. And that's kind of how this was. And then the thing is though, like during those like few months, like people don't really reach out to me. Like you don't even have to ask me to hang out. You can just you can send me a stupid text, like because I personally send out some like out of pocket texts every once in a while to my friends just to kind of just because I'm bored and like to see a reaction or something. And it's not like too crazy, but I'm still reaching out in some kind of way. It's not like you don't always have to ask me to hang out and stuff, but the only time I feel like I normally see people out is like when we're all doing like big get-togethers kind of thing, or like it's someone's birthday, or everyone's going out to drink and all this other stuff. And like no one asked me to do like smaller things. Like why can't we just go and get food every once in a while, or like I don't know, maybe go to the museum or something? Like what happened to that like weird like whimsical way of doing things? And maybe it's because I'm only 27 and that's just how things are when you're still in your 20s, but like everyone just wants to go out all the time. And I love going out, don't get me wrong, just because I'm in the music scene, but I don't know, I feel like there's other things to do than rather than going to like a camping festival or things like that. And I don't know, it just bothers me sometimes. And I don't know, maybe it was my fault for not telling the whole group like, "Hey guys, I hit 18K subscribers on YouTube or whatever." And I mean, it's not like the biggest achievement. I'm not like, huge or anything, but it was still an achievement that kind of popped out of nowhere because that's how most viral things happen, anyways. But I don't know who's at fault here. Was it just me for not telling people or just people not asking? I mean, I would probably say it's on both ends or something like that. And kind of another thing I wanted to talk about too, as someone who's being in like the creative scene, it's not just friends like this who will do the same thing, who are like, only care when you make it kind of thing. But the people in the creative scene are just the same, if not worse, because on top of that, there's usually just a bunch of social climbers too. So you kind of have to watch out for people who are just going to use you. And I usually keep a lot of people in the music scene at arm's length because I'm kind of skeptical of people's behaviors. And I mean, I'm not super huge in the music scene or anything like that. And honestly, I could get more into it, but I'm just pretty introverted and I like being at home and just kind of doing my own thing sometimes. And there are people who are extremely supportive and genuine, but that's just very hard to find nowadays. And I only live in Denver too. Like I couldn't even imagine places like California or New York or anything like that because I bet it's way worse over there. I understand that people want to be a full time creative, and I do too. And being a DJ and music producer is like sick and all that stuff. It's just weird because you have to find that perfect medium of like being genuine and pursuing your passion in a way because you won't go anywhere if you don't ask and network and stuff like that. But you don't want to try and come off as like narcissistic or like something along those lines, or you just like want to step on someone or use people just to get ahead. And that's honestly what I'm trying to figure out. And I don't know how I come off to people. I know I kind of come off very. I've been told I come off mysterious, airheaded, and what other ones have I come off as? Because I have a tendency to just kind of stare off into space a lot because that's how I think and get all my ideas, is kind of dissociating. And maybe I don't know. I just know I kind of come off that way. Some people, I've had managers call me dumb before just because I'm just like dissociating all the time. And I totally understand because I'm just not really listening to them because they're boring. But anyways, I'm just I'm just wondering on like how people will react to you when you do quote unquote make it. How many people are actually going to like send you DMs and message you and everything like that. And I understand why artists become resentful about the people around them because of the lack of support. And you start to hate others for just not being there for you. And it's hard not to become resentful as a creative just because that thought is always going to be in your mind. But then again, you have to think to yourself, is being resentful going to help you in the long run? Most of the time, I don't think it will. If anything, it's probably going to be kind of draining. Um, like if you think about it, no one wants to be around resentful artists or like a resentful creative in general, or just honestly, people who are just resentful are just kind of irritating to be around because they're just a hoot and a half now, are they? And they are a little bit exhausting to be around. And I have a friend like I wouldn't say resentful, but he definitely has an ego and it really gets in the way of things. And he is a good DJ, but he annoys the hell out of me sometimes when I go out and he'll just like complain about the other DJ or like why he doesn't have this, like why couldn't he get the gig or something. And I just like look at him, I'm like, he's kind of just one of those people who plays the victim a lot, and he is a good DJ, don't get me wrong, but he's just like he's not very professional. Like he doesn't make content. He doesn't have a website. He barely has any tracks that are finished, and I'm just like, you are kind of doing this to yourself. Like I don't really know what it is. I do have like a story I would like maybe tell. Nah, I'm not gonna tell him this one, but I don't know. I kind of understand why people move in silence because I have a tendency to do that just because honestly, I just find it way easier for me. And another thing is I just had like some self reflection is that sometimes I think moving in silence is the best way to get there and get what you want. And another thing that I notice about myself is that you can kind of only rely on yourself to do things for you. Of course, there's going to be people that want to help you, but there's not going to be someone that can help you along the way, every footstep and every little baby step. And I am one of those people. I find people to be unreliable. So I kind of just started doing everything myself. And also, I'm really picky. So having someone help me, if they like mess it up in some kind of way, I'm just gonna be like even more irritated because I'm just gonna be like, oh, I could have just done this myself, kind of thing, and like did it right the first time. And generally, maybe that's why I don't ask people for help a lot, just because I find it very annoying. But I don't know. This was just some self reflection I did on myself, and I like everything a certain way. And I'm trying to get better at it and have people help me. But I don't know. I just kind of wanted to talk about this because this was on my mind, and people have been just irritating me. So it's kind of just a rant. But anyways, guys, we just beat the eighth gem. I'm gonna go to the Elite Four now. I did get a rare candy glitch because I was kind of tired of training and didn't want to keep doing this. Um, so I kind of just leveled up to like a reasonable level. I didn't want to make the game too easy, and I didn't, kind of needed some. I mean, the eighth gem is actually like the easiest gem, anyways, and I don't know how far I'll take this game if I'll like do the complete Pokedex and everything along those lines. Maybe I'll just start a new project once I beat Elite Four, but I'll kind of think about that later when the time comes. And I appreciate you guys for watching, and I will talk to you in the next one. Let me know if you have any thoughts or concerns or comments, and put those down below. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.